your girl Liz here. It is not officially sunny and 75. I had 2 really nice welcome back days, and now it's officially back to the 40s, guys. Welcome back to Vincent. Yeah. Anyhow, guys. Holy cow, guys. Look, there's this buzzard. Oh my god, look. Look at it, just chilling out there. Ha! I got it. Anyhow, guys, so I'm officially coming to you guys today now. I'm gonna do I'm gonna try for 3. But I have my playlist set for 3, but I might only do 2. But anyhow, then all I have to do as well is do like 3 or 4, right, on Tuesday. No, yeah, Tuesday. All I have to do is 3 or 4 on Tuesday, and then I have a half marathon. So a half marathon month for the first miss is actually really, really good towards my goals. So I'm very happy and excited with all of that. And I don't see that buzzard out there anymore. But yeah, so I'm also officially going to try wearing my Myrtle Beach sweatshirt. We'll see how well this does. And then I have a good idea for in the fall time. And probably still about a month of mornings in Pennsylvania, guys. Welcome back to Pennsylvania. Alright, you guys remember last year, right? When I got my paddleboard permit around this time, right? Yeah. Well, you remember, right? I went back into the river and I'm like, oh, well, you're back in Pennsylvania, Alyssa. You can't wake up every morning and put on and go in the water, right? Anyhow, guys, so yes, we'll visually see how this does, you know. I mean, it feels like it's going to be heavy, so we'll see how well it does, and then I'll know to wear it in the fall time. So yeah, we'll officially go ahead and get going, and then once I get back to my place, we'll officially do the Sunday sermon. So there's a couple cool things that I missed, you know, and one also other thing that I missed. So yeah, it's a good way to intertwine everything, and a good way to bring certain things up with additions to them, right? So yeah, like I said, it won't be super long, but it'll be a nice Sunday sermon. Small yet bufful sermon. I'm gonna try to come up with the name yet, but yes. Anyhow, guys, so we'll officially go ahead, get going. I'll do my run, and then we'll see you guys back here in 1 second your time, probably about 20 to 30 minutes my time, and we'll see how well I do. So anyhow, guys, here we go. Hey hey everyone, your girl Liz here. Holy cow, I look like blonde ice for reals. Holy cow, this is definitely a fantastic sweatshirt, guys. Holy cow, I feel like it's like 70 degrees out here right now, and I'm just walking and chilling. Holy cow, this is a really good sweatshirt. It'll definitely be really, really good this fall. Holy cow, that along with my pink too. Except the pink is a little bit looser, right? This is more snug fit, so you really, really stay warm. Holy cow, guys, that's even good, even with these skirts on. This skirt on, which is freaking good. Holy cow, that was really freaking good, guys. 3 miles. Also, my music app updated for some unknown reason. So unfortunately, there's my glasses. I can't even see myself. I can only see the white. Anyhow, guys, yes. The music app updated, and unfortunately, it doesn't do like it used to do with the playlist. Hey everyone, your girl Liz here. So coming to you guys today now, it is officially a little bit later after my run. I won't say the exact time, but I have since got home and had some peanut butter meltaways. They were really, really good. Wanted to come on and get into my video. So this will, again, just be rather short, but it's a good, you know, short and buff, right? Because there's a lot of good stuff in here, guys. Yes, so a buff sermon. So anyhow, guys, speaking of the buff, right? I did want to end the blessings, right, that I had shared. So the blessings will actually be at the end of this. But to start, let's start with that girl that obviously she said, I felt like others were better than me, right?
So obviously that kind of goes off what I had said with it's normal, right? It's normal to want to know what a normal blood pressure is, right? And it's normal to want to achieve that, right? However, it's not normal to want to obsess, right? Your best friend and you are exactly the same blood pressure sitting down. You stand up, it's 123 over 81, they're 126 over 82, right? What caused the difference of 3 and 1, right? Like, what caused it? And just obsess about just that real little bit. There's so many different things, guys. It could be the sodium, right? I know, obviously, if you're dehydrated, your blood pressure is lower. Again, guys, the possible causes are pretty much endless, right? And there's no reason to just obsess about that, right? So, however, if a person does have actual issues because of the root of them getting into it, is self-loathing, right? Well, then, yes, maybe asking additional questions, as far as, is there sound, right? Do you listen with sound, right? So, for example, for me, personal note here, but usually it's about like 40% of the time for sound, right? That there's actual sound, right? Some of them, right, depending on kind of the course, right, of the, yes, it's just a little bit too much, right? Obviously, and they're into it, right? So, for example, that girl, who obviously got into it negatively, she probably did have self-loathing, and if she did have issues with sleep, because sometimes before sleep can also be really, really bad, right? Nobody's cancer cells have ever activated, right? Because because they didn't want to engage, right? However, it could be, because nobody really knows why cancer cells activate. But, yes, obviously, again, but depending, again, on that root cause, and sometimes you can learn it from, the way that they talk, or sometimes you do have to ask those questions, okay? So maybe there's some self-loathing that needs to take place. So, for example, that girl, right? Her mom and dad kicked her out, right? And then that thought led to a negative, but it seemed rather positive, right? Like you were getting back at them, right? So now for her, right, if she's, having, right, a scene or whatever, right, and there's a lot of people around, or there's a pimp, right, maybe, that looks just like her dad, she's going to self-loathe, right? And sometimes she can even self-loathe during it too, right? For example, all she wants to do, right, is remember those 2 good years. But it's in a whole different context then, right? And so she'll be self-loathing, right? So while she's saying, yep, just go ahead, right? Yes, again, those are the times where I don't have on volume, right? Absolutely don't have on volume. But yes, a little bit of a side note, but yes. So, and then she's angry that it took her that long to have just the slightest bit of an increase of joy, but then it was just gone right away, and it was been 2 years, right? And she would give anything, right? So while she's saying, go ahead, right, she's like, yep, I would give anything to go back in time, right, and stuff like that. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's just that constant, just negative mindset. So, and speaking of what I had just said with the little insert as well, so that can also go off what I had said before with it can be a way to, it doesn't always have to be like negative, like self-loathing, right? Like for example, obviously a lot of them think of suicide, obviously, right? That's why there's suicides amongst, right, that stuff. So, Suicide Sunday, I guess you could say. I've had quite a few suicide weekends, right, this weekend, or this year. But anyhow, so yes, obviously, sometimes it can just be like, right, like they say, right, F it, right? So it's like, yeah, just go ahead, right? Just keep cramping, right? Just, yep, right? So it can also be a way of coping, and doing that, a couple times, right? Coping with cramps, or yep, you're just gonna give me cramps again next year, right? Just, yep, let's just keep rolling, yep, just take care of business. This is what the hell you have to do, right? Again, that's not always a negative, right? Then in that instance. So that is a time where you can actually cope with, and it actually is a positive then, right? Because if there's no trauma, right, and the person doesn't have a hard time sleeping and they actually end up sleeping better, it's actually a positive then, right? So it's their way of coping, right? So obviously we see those videos as well, right? It's like, oh, today I wanted to go on a run, but today my period said not today, bitch, right? So it's kind of, it can also be a way of coping with that too. And that doesn't have to be if the context ends it, right? Like they have trauma, right? And then they're have like a very negative, oh, right, so yeah, whenever you do this, this means you're a, right, 4-letter S word, right? SL, slow, right? Is it slow? I think it is slow. Anyhow, guys, so yes. And obviously aggressive then, right? Again, that's times no video for me. That was weird. Yeah, so anyhow, no video or no volume. So yeah, you guys get the point though. So it can also be a way to cope, right? You can also use that, go ahead, right? Let's just keep going. I hate that I have to do this, but it's just something that my body isn't gonna reduce these cramps, right? Unless I just really just let it out, right? So yeah, so it can also kind of be one of those times too. That can be a time where, yep, I hate this, but you have to do it, right? You gotta take care of it, you know, so it can also be a way of coping too. And that one is a good coping though, because like I said, there's no trauma beforehand, you sleep well. It's actually an overall positive, right? So yeah, anyhow, let's get back into the video. So getting back into that girl, right, and what I had said with, you can silently help people, and it's normal to want to share that, right? So that's why I sometimes do that, right? And again, it's not asking for the fame and the glory, right? That's why it's not always the number one thing in my video titles, right, and all of that. If you're struggling with that talk, right, it's just in my videos sporadically, right? So, like I said, ask kind of, was it just you're curious, right, and you want to do your own, right, investigation, right, kind of like I'm doing right now with the Blake Blossom and her coworker, right, and the other video, right, or is it you felt like others were better than you, and you didn't know how to present it, or maybe you just didn't know, right, and you wanted to know how normal, because again, it's normal to an extent, right, to want to know that kind of stuff, so for example, right, well, nah, I was gonna say like drinking and driving, but no, even if you are a drinker who can control yourself, obviously it's still very dangerous to be drinking and be under the influence of anything while you're driving, right, so never mind, I was gonna say, you would want to know, right, if a person is good at controlling their alcohol, right, but again, not really. Anyhow, well, I mean, at a party, too, they could become agitated, right, so if they're able to, then they might not get to that point of anger, right, that they can't control, right, so for example, for me, though, the one, right, the forbidden video, that was just, like, insane, because I literally just, like, stopped everything, and I was just, like, the positive memory is just too much, and I didn't have that second back half negative, right, which that girl did, right, because I could easily just walk away, and obviously after about, like, 3 minutes of just, oh my god, like, literally stopping and being like, this is her. This is insane, right? Then, obviously, again, I went to other things then, right? But holy cow, guys, that was just an insane realization, like I said, with trying to figure out the root, So with that girl, right, is it, you actually are, in the normal sense, or... or is it just, you're maybe just, hey, living young and carefree, and right, and we're all young, right, take care of the stuff while you're young, right, or something, like, you know what I'm getting at, so kind of ask those questions to her, and she probably didn't have sleep issues from it, but also maybe ask that too, so you can see how to better help her, right, so For example, people who have trauma, absolutely, yeah, it would probably be hard and it would be a negative, right? And you wouldn't sleep well, right? For people who have trauma, right? But other people, there's other maybe ways to like work around that too, right? So, right, like Blake Blossom standing, yeah. So, and is that where that came from? Blake Blossom and her coworker? Again, I'm not going to directly say. I'll respect my right to normal stuff, be totally normal. And I obviously, again, already help, right, that kind of girl, right? Felt like others were better than me. Well, actually, maybe again, if she did run into that kind of stuff, and we didn't have people taking it to the extreme, obviously, boom, right? With sharing too much, and even sometimes even sharing unnecessary stuff too, right? So yeah, that was kind of cool, and I shared that before with like Jimmy Kimball, right? It's like, yeah, people joke about that stuff. If you say they don't, you're live under a rock, right? But however, that's stuff that you keep between you and your friends, right? And yeah, people joke about it, but it's on their own times. It's not just spit it out right on national television, right? Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, there has to be that balance, right? So obviously, again, like I said, it's a good idea to, kind of ask, again, what is the root of it? Because the context is so different then. Yeah, so that was kind of crazy. And then crazy realization. So, yeah. And it's kind of cool, how I can incorporate, like, religion into it, too, right? So, because obviously that is, like, a conversation that can somewhat turn people off, right? It can be a turn off, right? Because then they're, like, the people who take that verse too far of, like, cut off your hand, right? It's better to enter the kingdom of God, right, without a hand, right? Yes, they take that way too far. So, anyhow, that's a cool way to, incorporate, right? Kind of use religious videos that have a religious context into, what I had said. So, yeah, I mean, that's, pretty much it as far as, I just want to come on and share the different contexts that, yeah. So, and it's pretty self-explanatory, but it also could have been missed, right? Or maybe people heard it and then they didn't give second thought to it, right? Like I said, why is she cold, right? Did you ever think about why? Like, why is it not warm, right? Like, why is cold, right? Yeah, so maybe they hear that and they just don't give second thought to it, right? And it's like, well, so yeah, like I said, it's definitely, good on how you can help people, right? And just different questions, to help also as well with those two different contexts. So yeah, I thought that was kind of cool to, intertwine those two, with me too, right, as well. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, so anyhow, that's pretty much it, honestly, with that stuff. So I guess I can get into the blessing now. So obviously, could that realization, right, with me, right, and could the being able to realize, right, okay, like, we're not in it for the negative, right, we can't have that positive, and for me it wasn't, I can't have that positive right now, like, that's not what the time is, right? This is not the time for a positive, right? This is time to, right, take care of this life, right, and go about my night, right? So, obviously, again, for that other girl, it's much different. She's longing for that, and she's longing for a whole different context, right, and all of that. So her, oh my gosh, I want this back, right, is very negative. And oh my God, the reminder is just frustrating, right, because she doesn't have it, right? So, anyhow, but could, all of that have been, right, why it just magically appeared, right, last August? I actually strongly think that a lot of it is, because she could have, went on different platforms, right? She could have figured out, right, my platforms that I have, right? And then she could have been like, okay, well, I'm going to, keep off, right, those platforms that she has, right? And I'm not gonna have those platforms that she has, right? She could have made it private, right? She could have done a lot of different things, but she didn't. So could that have been my blessing, right? I think so. Even though the context is obviously much different, right, than that girl, right, and the other girl, I do believe that a lot of that page just magically appearing, right, was definitely part of that too. So that was good, even though again it's not even temptation, it's just a realization, and then it's like a realization again that this is not the time, right, to relive nostalgia, right? Be very happy and grateful, right? You have to focus, right? So, yeah, that's kind of cool. And then you kind of get your own practice, right, with, like I had said, with, right, the hat, right? And how you're able to master that skill, right? And my mirror staring back at me, right? Where you're able to acknowledge, well, that's quite the hat. Just like, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. I don't want to have to deal with this. I don't want to associate myself with you. It's impossible to look at your face without seeing your hat. And then if I glance at your hat, I see something that's partially offensive, right? So, yeah, why don't you just go ahead and hurry, right? But you're able to mask all of that with, okay, yeah, I'll get this for you, I'll get this for you, yep, thank you, have a good day. And he doesn't even know that you're thinking that. But obviously other times you can tell when a person is just not engaged with the conversation, right? So I thought that was, kind of a cool way to add those two together, so it's like, nope, nope, this is not a nostalgia, right? This is just focus on the here and now. So I kind of thought that was kind of cool, and even acknowledging the existence that obviously, yes, there are some people that do negative, right, with that. So obviously, and then again, that would even lead to more self-loathing, right? So for her, right, she could pretend to be engaged in the scene, or she could be like, yep, go ahead, right? And the whole time she's like, you're stupid, you're pathetic, what the hell is wrong with you, right? While she's self-loathing, it's like, yep, I would just give nothing to just, and she can't even, have any recollection, right, of what's going on, because obviously she probably wouldn't want to either. But you guys get the point, though. So, yeah, I kind of thought that was, kind of cool, right, to put all that together and realize all of that. And even that doesn't even lead into negative, right? And then, yeah, do you know what I'm saying? So it doesn't lead to anything. Even acknowledging, right, that there are, you're not part of that, right? So you're not part of those kind of people, right, that would do that stuff, right? So I kind of thought that was kind of cool, to maybe just that slight little part, right? And then slight little part of not denying the existence of it, and then obviously the small part of being able to have that just be like, okay, not now, yep, we gotta focus, right? Yes. Obviously I think that those two little small parts were able to have happened, right, for maybe like, I think it was like January. Yeah, it was probably right around January. So it was obviously 2 months after I had last seen her, and 1 month after I had last texted her, right? So I kind of thought that was, kind of crazy, because the first 2 months it didn't really occur. But then once Buff made that video, I was like, oh my gosh, right? Like I said, I stopped and I was like, oh my gosh. And then I'm like, holy cow, okay, I got to get back to the root and the main purpose, right, of this stuff, right, that I'm engaging in, right, my root reason, so, but yeah, like I said, it was definitely, yeah, probably right around, like I said, so that happened about 2 months, yeah, and then it was literally, August, so about 7 months later, right, it's just magic, right? I don't think it's just magic that just magically appeared. So it was kind of like a blessing, right? Yeah, so I kind of thought that was really, really cool, and then, yeah, it kind of all ties into what I had said before with, you're able to get that sense of true love, right? Because you don't get that sense of true love and be able to hear things and see things, right? In the proper text, right? Whenever you're in that mindset, right? Like I said with me, right? You get to see and hear that stuff in the way that, and it's not as amplified. It's not like an amplified excitement. It's just a calmness, right? And an acceptance, right? Because that it's just how it is, right? You get to, again, see and hear that stuff from the way you should, right? Of it, right? Like I was anemic one, yeah, very proper about it, right? So, but for me, it's not really a blessing then, right? But for that other girl, right, in the Final Frontier, yeah, it would be like amplified to the max, right? Like, oh my gosh, I have been dealing with the complete wrong side of this now, and now I'm here on the right side. Do you know what I'm saying? That was kind of cool also as well, So, yeah, it was just kind of, again, really, really cool, to have all those realizations, and figure all that stuff out, and then hear and actually give second thought to, oh my God, yeah, she said, I thought everybody was better than me. Oh my gosh, yes, of course that could be how you feel, right? So, yeah, it's definitely really, really cool how all three of those two stories I'm able to incorporate into my own story, right? And then share the blessing, right? Of it just magically appears. I don't think so. I do not think so at all. And I also do not think so with the way that, the positive joy, right? With, 4 times in a row now, right? The sunflower patch, the, my ass was out late last night or something, and then the Gur face, remember? What one was after that? I'm trying to remember. There was another one the Back to December, right? And then New Year's, right? Oh no, that's 5 times in a row, guys, where I'm within 2 days, right? And it's just magic, right? The thought and the sense of, you know what? I think, like, don't quote me on it, but I think she posted. No, I know she posted. I feel it, guys. I can feel it, guys. I know she posted. And yes, I'm right. 5 times in a row, guys. That's crazy. But yeah, so I again think that was just wild, Yeah, so anyhow, that's pretty much it. I'll stop trying to take up time, but yeah, so anyhow, guys, I'll officially get going. I'll listen to this, and then I'll listen to more of my recordings, and then, yeah, we'll officially have that up pretty soon. It is obviously a very long one, as you guys can tell. So, we'll officially get to it. So, here we go. So, the realization stays where it belongs, actually, and is not able to be confused as well. So, that's what I actually meant. So, for example, obviously, August Ames, though, that's much different, right? So, obviously, a lot of her stuff, obviously, yes, I have kind of looked at August Ames before, but yes, obviously, for her, yes, I feel like if I did anything, it would be the same as walking right up to her freaking grave and, yes, right all over the grave. Yes, that is very realistic, right? Where you should feel that bad. But for me, though, again, because the realization is much different, and obviously the reasons for the whole thing in its entirety, that is able to just stay in its place, and it would definitely be me taking it to the extreme, right? It would be me saying what I'm doing and feeling that way is definitely to the extreme, because it's not the same as, obviously she doesn't have a grave yet, obviously she is still alive, right? Because you get the point though, so like, that would obviously be the same. That would be me taking it to the extreme, and it's not actually like that. So the realization is able to stay in its place, and it's next to impossible, right, for you to self-loathe, right, because you know the truth, right, as well. So that's also a key thing to take into effect of all of this. So anyhow, I guess I can also come on and share, speaking of my Graham's text, so a Graham interruption at just the right time, Sunday sermon. And so also speaking of what she had texted me, so it kind of goes off, she has said before, you know, like, I don't know how you can ever, like, repeat somebody's name or, like, be so happy, right, or talk so positively about people who used you. And I always say to that, well, I don't know how you can actually, you know, be so pessimistic, right? Because a lot of people, if she did indeed decide to call a whole bunch of hairstylists within a 100-mile radius, she doesn't think I'll go over 100 miles away, right, to do my hair. She'll be like, you know, a lot of people could just write that down, say, yeah, we won't treat her. And then obviously they could just be thinking to themselves, you're on drugs right now, right? You know what I'm saying? Something like that. So it's like, yeah, you know, they might actually not even do it anyhow. So, and how you can never realize that, you know, this is a positive, you know, kind of like getting back at them, kind of like Justin Timberlake, what goes around comes back around, right, towards the end of that song, right? He's like, now you got what you deserve, and now you want somebody to cure the lonely nights, right, and all of that. So it's like, yeah, and how, you know, you can not be happy for me, right, when I have my joy, right, and I learn to maybe practice what I preach, and I don't say it often, right, for example, right, obviously, I was very blessed. My grandfather came back, right, from war, right? Obviously, he saw body bags being carried across the tarmac. He didn't come back extremely disturbed, but that's not the case with a lot of veterans, right? Obviously, a lot of veterans do come back extremely disturbed, right? And they have to have, like, dogs, right? Service dogs, right? And just a whole bunch of stuff, right? So, obviously, you know, for me, it's like, how can you actually also not realize that I actually got to better myself, right, with what I had said with my grandma before, right? Or even if you don't show signs, you shouldn't be allowed to have guns for like a year, right? So it's like, yeah. So, you know, I obviously got to remember, you know, maybe I should have spoken up. Now, obviously, my current coworker showed some signs, and obviously, you know, I asked her then if she's all right. But hey, you know, it's like, yeah, found like the end of the reason, right? If I actually took time, maybe would have been a little better, right? And she wouldn't have had to show the side of me, the side of her that I didn't know, which is I sometimes can struggle with deep depression, right? So it's like, yeah, that was kind of cool, you know, a realization for all of that too. So yeah, so it's like, I don't even know how you can even say that, right? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, and it's much better than, you know, pathetic people, right? Like Charlie Kirk, right? Where you have to remind them, right? Charlie Kirk was a dad, right? Charlie Kirk was a grandfather, right? So I didn't really like the way that he went about a lot of stuff too. But I mean, don't you remember, or, you know, why haven't you given thought, right? Or would you, right, take an axe, right, to your own mom's or dad? Well, no, it'd be dad or grandfathers, because Charlie Kirk, again, was dad or grandfather. So if you want to take an axe to his, then don't do it to him, right? And then while I'm matching your energy, right, I have some good intentions, but the way that I get there is pretty weird sometimes. That's also matching your energy right now. So yeah, I have some weird ways of reminding you to stop being pathetic and also stop acting like an atheist, right? Yes. So people hate on Christianity, so people can hate on atheists too. So it's like, yeah, right. While I'm matching your energy, that's what's going on, right? And then, like I said, just keep going at them, right? And just force a reaction and all of that stuff, right? Get them to just stop being the way they're acting, right? Make sure you laugh and giggle, right? They know that you're laughing and giggling because you're really trying to agitate them. They're taking it the easy way out with, oh, okay, so you just don't know how to, you think that it's funny, right, to put people in their place the wrong way. No, actually, while I'm matching your energy, that's what I do, right? Yeah, so, you know, good question for you, right? Yeah, so, and now that you see this, right, you change a little bit, right? Yeah, so, I mean, you'd just be showing him that he's just as worthless as how worthless you think Charlie Kirk is, right? I mean, that would be about the same, right? Anyhow, so, anyhow, you know, but yeah, so it's like, yeah, it's like, it's a much better way of kind of like getting back too, right? And it's not even getting back, but it's, you know, you get to live the nostalgia, and they sometimes maybe get to live, you know, kind of like a regret, but happiness within the regret too, with a much different like lingering, right, than obviously the other girl, right? The other girl in the industry, yeah, it's very negative lingering, but for it's like you're just starting to come out of the darkness kind of thing, right? So you're in your depression, but then you remember, right? Maybe me, right? And yeah, and then that's where you're able then to show that side of you that I didn't know, right? Like I had already said. And then you're able to slowly get your way out of that dark place. So yeah, that's kind of cool too, right? Like a small relief off your shoulders. So yeah, it's like, so how you can actually ever, you know, stand up to somebody and be so not aware, right? And so pessimistic, I'll never know, right? So that's kind of cool, you know, to kind of share that, you know, because obviously I was used, you know, quite a bit there. But yeah, so anyhow, guys, I'm officially going to get going here and get my egg salad started, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Gonna be a good lunch. Speaking of the Sunday sermon and matching your energy too, don't forget, Jesus also got frustrated, right? And he went into the temple, right? And he, you know, flipped tables, right? And that was his way, right? It's an off way, right? But he has a way, right, of showing everybody that he obviously dealt with everything that all humans on earth deal with, right? He had, right? Everybody knows the story of Jesus. And I don't want to make this a 5-hour long, okay, Sunday sermon, but yes. So also, right? So that also goes off matching your energy, and being weird, and being very assertive, right? And putting you in your place, right? So it's like, yeah, actually, yeah, right? This is sometimes how he operates too. And same with the weird question that was asked, right? Do you even want to get better? Right, yeah. So anyhow, he has weird ways of going about it, but he has good intentions, right? So yes, anyhow. And then actually, we'll get to the OnlyFans girl briefly, and then I'll just get this video started, and then we'll finish the OnlyFans girl a little bit later. So at another time, because this video is already like 40 minutes. So anyhow, guys, I'll officially go finish my lunch, and then I'll be back on for the screenshots, or they just might be out here right now. So anyhow, guys, thank you again for watching today's Sunday sermon. It's definitely been a really, really good Sunday sermon. I'll talk to you guys later. Alright guys, so following my, obviously my run, and then all of the pics, obviously you guys just saw, for Haley Keys. So yes, obviously I did see her on Instagram. Obviously she's very young, so I wanted to see how all of that goes, and see any correlations and similarities with her and the other one. That's why I asked her about, people in her past. So it definitely seems like she doesn't really want to do it, but she also does want to do it, because obviously a lot of her stuff, you have to obviously buy. I'm going to be very hesitant before I decide to buy one, but very hesitant. But yes, so it does look like you have to buy some stuff, but again, probably won't. But it's definitely good talking with her, because you guys can see she wants a lot of money, which isn't really realistic to have that much money. So more than likely, it's kind of one of those of like, I don't really want to do this kind of thing. So I'm just kind of curious to kind of see where all it leads. But definitely good to be the light, right? Sooner than later, right? So we'll see how that goes, you know. And what I had said for custom, I'm not going to directly say if that's, you know, something that I would like, but
Yeah.
But I will say that obviously that is something that I would, right, be able to, right? And then maybe then they walk out and it's like, oh my God, well, I mean, it's all right, and I don't have a way to dry off. Yeah, that would be something where, right, like I had said, an example. But I'm not going to directly say if that's, yeah, so, anyhow, guys, but yeah, so just want to come on and share all of that. We'll see how, kind of where it goes. She definitely seems like one of those where it's like, there is hesitation there, but there's the want, right? So trying to find that common ground, right? Trying to find her reason for truly wanting to do, you know, or at least just the act of starting the OnlyFans. So yeah, it'll definitely be a cool journey to see where it leads. And yeah, it's right around the same time, honestly, as last year. No, last year actually was in like July, after July. It was like late July up to about middle of August, remember? So yeah, so this is you know, just a couple months earlier this year, but we'll see how well I can help her, right? And again, be that light sooner than later. So anyhow, guys, I'll officially get going. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching, and yeah, that's it. Talk to you guys tomorrow.